Hey everyone, it's Rachie. I'm here to show you a pretty cool thing. I have been making pins lately, and I noticed that there was a distinct lack of good memorial options out there for rats, whether for cremated remains or for fur samples. A lot of stuff was quite large and it was tailored more towards dogs and cats. And so I have made these pins, and they are bright and shiny with a rat paw print inside. And the rat paw print is sandblasted matte, and you'll see why shortly. I made some with a pin back, and then I also made some with what's called a magnet back, which means that it's just the solid coin, and it has a magnet on the back, and so you can put the magnet on one side of your clothing and the pin on the other, and they sit very, very flat and really nice. Or if you like the idea and you're not someone who likes to wear pins or don't have anywhere else to store them, you can put it on the fridge, or what I've done, which is on the monitor stand for my computer. They stick quite well anywhere, and they're just really gorgeous. And so this little recessed paw holds ashes or a little bit of fur, and I thought that I would show you the method for that. Setting cremains, as cremated ashes are often called, into resin is nothing new. That's something I've been doing for a while, and something many people do. Putting all sorts of things in ashes that you want to keep, a seed from a plant that was meaningful to you. Some people store their breast milk, they powder it and add it to resin and make beads or jewellery. It's a nice way to memorialize things eternally. But what I wanted to do with these was, rather than having people have to come to an artist like myself to do a commission, is being able to do it at home in a way that's accessible and very straightforward. And I've developed a technique for that. So I'm going to flip this camera around and I'm going to show you how to make your own ashes jewellery with one of these. All right, do we flip? Now we've flipped. Oh, I'm so good at this. Okay. So what you're going to need is super easy nail polish. I just used a basic matte top coat and a basic cheap matte black nail polish. You don't need anything particularly fancy because the sandblasted inside is textured to hold this stuff in. And so what you do is, say for example you want to put some of your rat's fur into one of these. If you want to use, this is all designed to be as accessible and user-friendly as possible, so if you want to put stuff in a pin back, and obviously you can't get it to sit flat, the easiest thing to do is to just put it in something like a tissue box. If you just punch it, come on camera, if you just punch it into a tissue box, it will then sit flat, or a bit of foam, or just any box you have lying around. So these become quite easy to use. But I have a couple of the magnet backed ones that had some flaws in them, and so see there's a little ding in the edge of this one, and so I'm going to use these to show you rather than selling them cheaply as B grade pins. So I like to use, I want to use black on this one because I think that stands out nicely. So what you do if you want to incorporate some fur is you can just put it all over, make sure you get it in all of the bits. And do a very thin little coat at first, and then you take your little bit of rat fur, which, where's my little bit of rat fur? There's always rat fur stuck to me. Here we go. Take a little bit of rat fur and use the brush to make sure it's inside the little well. There we go. And then you do a thicker coat. You don't want to have anything poking out from outside those little wells, because as you'll see in a minute, they will just get rubbed off. And you can just be messy with it because it's just nail polish. And so then you leave it to dry. And in the true vein of instructional TV, here's one I prepared earlier. And you'll see that when it dries, it sort of goes into those recesses. So how do you get the nail polish off the outside without putting it in the recesses? I tried a few different techniques to do this, and this is just the thing I found to be the most easy and replicable and accessible. An alternative, if you wanted to try and do it neat from the start, would be that you can use a fine syringe on a needle, and you could just insert it into the wells, but I find that with nail polish that tends to be a little bit messy. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get a tissue and just some nail polish remover, and you want to lay it out flat and press it down, and you want it to sort of evenly distribute itself. You don't want wells, less is more, because you don't want that liquid to be touching the inside of the wells that are recessed. And then you just rub it all off, and polish off that nail polish without, there you go. Easy as that. Look at that. And that's, you know, it's not sticky, it's not anything, it's just beautiful, and it will sit in there. And the same thing goes with cremated remains. So like I have some remains here, and the way I would do that would be slightly different, but pretty much the same. I'll just show you so that it's easy for you to replicate. We have another magnet backed pin, and what I would do with these is to use a clear one. Really you can use any color you like, but to get the effect that I'm going to show you that I achieved before, use a nice clear one. Take some of your ashes. These are the ashes of the rats that passed away at the rescue in 2020. And ashes are, or cremains are essentially just crushed bone. So what you want is the very fine sort of particulate matter and less of the crushed bone itself. If I was a smart cookie, I might have sort of sieved some out beforehand. So I'm going to brush off the larger particulate matter and sort of catch as much of this finer material as I can and press that in. Oh, come on, sit still. I'm going to press that down. It doesn't matter that I'm making a little bit of a mess. And then I'm going to put another coat over the top to seal it in. And this one, when you rub it off on the acetone tissue, just like I did before, it'll be a little bit rougher because the cremains would have settled in, sort of like sandpaper, and so it'll be a little bit more resistant than just plain old nail polish with a bit of fur. But once you do that, you get the same thing. This is a cremains one that I prepped this morning, and you can see it's I just did exactly what I showed you then, and it's just perfectly matte and just sits in there really nicely. So yeah, I'm really impressed with how these have turned out. I think that they're absolutely beautiful. You can use any color you want, and I think that, I mean, they're pretty unsubtle in their own way like this, I think, but being able to have any particular color that's significant to you, being able to change up the colors for your ratties, or mice, they'd work well for mice as well, and being able to have, you know, a little run of paw prints up your fridge which actually contain either the ashes or the fur or a little whisker clipping or something from all of your ratties, I think is quite sweet. So yeah, I will be adding these pins to my Etsy store, and I'll be selling these. I think when I remake the next batch, I think I'm going to make them slightly wider than I have at the moment, just because I think it would add like a classier weight to them. They're quite nice as they are, but I think I'd see how that goes. And yeah, so I'll add these to my Etsy store, and I also plan to, via the rescue, because I know there's a lot of people who not only had rats of their own who have retired at the rescue and passed away that they might be emotionally attached to, or rats that people have a real connection to. I know a lot of people really felt for Spoon. A lot of people loved rats like Button. And because all the rescue rats are sort of, to me, they're all my babies, I cremate my own rats with them. So Button and Spoon and everyone, even though they eventually got adopted by myself as pets, they're all in the crowd. Going to be making these with the ashes of 2018, 2019, and so far 2020, with the rescue rats, and do that as a fundraiser. So we'll have those available via the rescue as well. So yeah, I hope that this is something that brings people joy and helps them memorialize their lovelies. I've been looking for a solution to this problem of not knowing how to store and display my cremains for a long time, and so I originally just wanted to do it for me, but I think there's a problem here that was waiting to be solved, and I'm really, really happy with the method I've developed to make it accessible to everyone. If anybody has any questions, let me know, and yeah, have fun with it. There's no reason that you couldn't, rub glitter in and then do a top coat clear over the top of glitter. Anything you can do with your nails, you could try and do with this, so long as you keep it in the recessed part, so that when you scrub it all off, it only polishes off the stuff that's stuck to the outside. Alright, thank you for watching, everybody, and thank you for supporting me or the rescue if you do either. Thank you.